and the educational director of Chinese Music Example. So first, let's invite our director of Chinese Music Example, Mr. Sun. 孙老师 our director maybe has some issue for like the connect to Wi-Fi. So in this case, let me just introduce this workshop and our program first. So let me do the shorter version of Chinese music example, that is CME. So for the whole thing, I will just using CME to doing the introduction. So CME educational programs are designed to raise awareness of Chinese music and its culturally significance as a traditional art form in New York City, especially to preserve the cultural heritage among the Chinese community. Especially for K through 12 populations, CME has provided summer camps to the community 2 decades. Though this time, the special time, we are running our events online. But we do also offer 4 weekend art lectures and technical workshops. The art lectures will be open to audience of all ages who are interested in Chinese music, with special focus to engage the abroad Chinese community in the city. With a fun and engaging learning environment, these lectures will demonstrate Chinese musical instruments and introduce the history of Chinese music with interactive activities. The technical workshops will target students who have some learning experience on Chinese instruments and are interested in getting instructions from professional musicians. So that is our educational program. So for today, today's workshop actually is our first time online workshop. So we are focused on educating K through 12 students in Chinese culture and traditional instruments such as Pipa, Erhu, Guzheng, and Dizi. So today we will have 5 teachers doing demonstrate the instruments and discuss music. So let's welcome 5 teachers. So I go first. I'm the Pipa teacher. So hello everyone. And the next will be our Dizi teacher, Dizi flute. So let's welcome 徐老师. 徐老师, can you say hi to everyone?
徐老师，您的那个你的好像已经静音了，你把那个静音自己打开一下，就是你按一下自己的这个窗口之后呢，你左边有一个静音的按钮，按一下，把它变成不是红色，你就好了。
Right, this is our Dizi teacher.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome. All right, next will be our Erhu teacher, Fei Fei.
大家好 ，Hello, I'm Fei Fei. I'm so glad to meet everybody here, and thank you for your time to join this awesome program. And this is our first time doing it. 这是我们第一次做这个 online program, so thank you everybody. We will have a great time.
Awesome. Next, our Guzheng teacher, Wei Wei.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome.
All right, and the next, our Zhongruan and Liuqing teacher.
Hi everyone, this is Eugenie. Nice to meet you all, and I'm looking forward to a great session with everyone. 今天会介绍中软的部分，然后谢谢大家来参加我们第一次的 online workshop.
Awesome. Okay, just in case someone didn't hear I said before, sorry for mute you because we have to, for the better quality, we will only allow the teacher talking, but you can ask anything, tap in chat. We are happily to respond. Okay, let me continue to introduce the workshop. All right, so the workshop provides insightful, stimulating, performing education programs, enable students to grow their understanding and interest in Chinese culture and music. We believe that exposure to Chinese culture and music tremendously benefits children's cognitive and emotional growth, while expanding their knowledge of Chinese history and culture. Also, the Chinese music ensemble is determined to spread culture throughout the community to both children and adults. So that's the basic introduction. Let's get started. So welcome to our first teacher, Mr. Xu, and Fei will translate. 徐老师
Oh, is Mr. Xu off the line? Offline?
Yeah. 大家好，我今天给大家介绍一下中国笛子的演奏风格流派。
So today, Mr. Xu is going to introduce everybody about the Dizi. It is about the style and the trend from the northern and southern style.
这现在我介绍是曲笛，因为曲笛呢是伴奏戏曲昆曲的那个主要的乐器，所以它起名为曲笛。
So the first one, you're seeing the picture, the Dizi that Mr. Xu is holding. That is 曲笛. So it's named after a 曲 opera. So we have lots of opera, like a Peking opera, everybody know, 京剧, right? This is a 昆曲, though. So that's one of the operas we have, traditional operas. So the 曲笛, the instrument, was the main instrument that accompanied this Queen opera. So that's why we named this 笛子曲笛.
请听昆曲《牡丹亭》游园惊梦里边的赵楼跑片段。
So this is a short part of 赵罗炮 from 牡丹亭.
"下面介绍根据昆曲素材创作的名曲《姑苏行》。
So next is the journey to Gusu, and that is based on the Queen opera. By the way, the 曲笛 is the form the key of D, but Mr. Xu told me that you can change the key by the way you're holding the by your finger. How the fingering is changed, how you change the key on the Dizi. Awesome, thank you.
下面介绍北派笛子队。北派的笛子因为伴奏棒子细，所以他用的笛子就小笛子是G调，所以叫它就是棒笛。
So this is the northern style Dizi that is called Bang Di. Bang is from the Bangzi opera. Again, it's another opera that we have in China that is Bangzi. And that style is very, very passionate, it's very bright, and it's very strong, has a strong power. So right now, Mr. Xu is holding a Bang Di.
北派笛子的演奏风格高亢、嘹亮、热烈、奔放，他的演奏技巧都来自于流传于内蒙跟张家口一带的二人台戏曲。
So the bangdi actually, just like I mentioned, is very powerful. You will hear it. It's very bright and strong. Has a very, very strong volume. And the style actually is from a dual opera, 二人台. 二人 means two. 二人 two people. 二人台 is a dual opera.
请欣赏二人台曲牌《万年红》片段。
This is an 二人台, a dual opera, a part of it called 万年红.
下面，请欣赏根据北派笛子演奏风格创作的现代曲子《扬鞭催马运粮忙》片段。
So next, Mr. Xu is going to play a very, very iconic Dizi song, Bangdi song. It's called Busily Carding Grain. It is composed based on the northern style Dizi and is relatively contemporary.
我今天的介绍就到这里。
Thank you very much. That's Mr. Xu's introduction, and I just want to mention that you can type all your questions. If you have any questions, you can type it out there, and we have a manager behind us, and we'll choose the questions and we will answer it for you. Okay, Chen.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Xu and Fei Fei. Is there anyone has question want to ask? If there's no any question, I just keep going. Is that okay? All right. So I will be next teacher, which is demonstrated Pipa. So this is my instrument, Pipa, P-I-P-A. And as you can see, it has 4 strings in a pear shape. It has over 2,000 years of history. And so today, I also want to share some, I think would be interesting information about Pipa. So during my research, I also found Japanese. They also have Pipa, but they don't call Pipa. They call biwa, which is the B-I-W-A. And I have one friend actually, they can play that. I never see them to play, but I know one of famous song, and I think it's very interesting song. If you are interested, you can type in online. The name is 1,000 of Cherry, 千本樱 in Chinese. Just in case if you are interested, that's also very cool. And the difference about Japanese to Chinese Pipa, on the right hand, for Chinese Pipa, we do wear the fake nail, the fingering. But for Japanese, they kind of like more like the Western guitar style. They use like the picks, but the picks is huge. So if you are interested, you can search online. And for any Asian country, they do also have pipa too. So for the Vietnamese, they have the pipa called the Dan Tipa. Maybe I pronounced wrong. I'm not sure how pronounce like their language, but I just feel like it's so interesting, and I also never see that before. For South Korean, they do also have pipa, but they are the only one of 3 that is no longer widely to use. So that's about all the Asian pipa. So for the next topic, I want to share some tips about play pipa, which is 怎么样可以弹琴弹得更好听, which is not just for pipa, for any instrument. I thought that would be useful. So first, I want to mention like the right position of each hand to play. So I will go through each hand. So let me start the right hand, and I'm talking about the fingering. It's 轮指. So this is 轮指. So I'm talking about in using right fingering in 轮指, which is I feel like everyone should use. That's just my opinion. I think everyone should use round shape during this fingering. So I'm gonna show you. But I do have some students, they are now keep this shape. And I also saw some players, they were using this angle for the thumb part. I'm gonna show you. They were doing this way. So if you bend like that, like this angle, you can hear it. The sounds were like very sharp and aggressive. So that's why I'm saying I feel like if you are using the round shape of 轮指, then the sound can be more smooth. That's just my idea. All right, let's move to the left hand. So the left hand using the right position, not just for easy to play, that also can make sound better and increase the tempo if you need it. So for the right position should be also hold like a bow or like keep a round shape. I think that would be same as to any instrument, like play piano. You also, the first class, you will get the information about hand shape is hold round shape, like that. So you were doing this for the left hand, for pipa as well. So you were doing this way. And for the left hand, you also need to keep this shape during switch to the fret. Because I'm gonna show you if you are not using this shape, some people were doing this way. Can you see that carefully? So if you're doing this, then the sound will change. That's why I mentioned the right position of playing is so important because that just affects the sound you brings different. So for the next part, I wanna mention is about the special things of Pipa. Because Pipa playing, we do wear the fake nail, 指甲，我们会戴指甲. We will bring that to play. That also will make some extra noise， 就是会有指甲的噪音和杂音。Normally you will not really feel that. But if you're going to like record studio or going to the professional place for recording, you can hear so noise by that. And of course, you can pay money for remove that, but that costs other people's money and your time. So for the better solution, we kind of like can do that and remove that noise by ourselves is when you touch the string, just immediately move. Don't stay. I'm gonna show you. So that is noise that I'm mentioning like before. If you're doing this, but whatever you just go, that's clean. That's not mentioning, oh, you only can play fast. That's not really to tempo or speed. That's just on the way of you playing. Don't hesitate, just go like that. That's it, and you will be clean. For the next tips, I do want to share a scale of the left hand, which is not just for Pipa, I think for Erhu and the violin or any other string instrument or have that scale vibrato. Oops. Give me a second. Right. So for the vibrato, you need to do exactly the right position as well. So you are doing, you can hear the sounds is so smooth and romantic. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna show you. That sounds very dry. That's why that is so important. And for how can we practice this scale, you can just choose the C major and practice each vibrato of all of notes. I'm gonna show you, so you can do it this way. So you can see, moves as small as you can, but not use wrist and arm at all. And also for some special time, you do need to use bigger movement, but not always. I'm gonna show you the part I think should be used like big movement. Like the A, I'm use very, very big like movement because that's a longer sound and that need like very dramatic feeling. So that's depend on the sound and the note you need it. Okay, so for the next tips, I'm gonna share also not just for Pipa, it's for all of instrument player. It's about the dynamics, which is crescendo, diminuendo, like getting louder and getting softer. 这是我要说一下，就是句子处理的轻响变化。So we all know we have to do that as a musician or any just a music player. But we also need to take care of the process of doing that. 就是我大概说一下意思，就是你要注意轻响或者是快慢处理的过程。有很多人都知道它是需要做渐强，它会突响。So translate in English. So most of us, we all know we need to do that, but we ignore the process or just doing one note so loud, too loud. So let me trying to explain what I'm saying. I just choose one small piece. So as you can hear, each note is getting louder. It's not just a one note like shouting. That's same as the language. For what I'm talking now, I also have like different volume but it's not just immediately one word too loud that will scare people. Same thing. Yeah. So that is the basic things I do think would be useful in I think all of level and all of like instrument player can be think about it. And when you try it, you maybe can find a huge difference, right? All right, so for the last part that I do want to share some tips about how to practice and how I practice and what is my experience. So I'm a Pipa player over 15 years, and I do also play other instruments. I graduated from Shanghai Conservatory of Music and also hold a degree, master degree from NYU, major in music education. So through the long process, I feel like learning instrument, not just one day, you have to practice. And for the practice, it's better way for set up a goal. Like each day, you should have like a small goal or small plan. And then when you achieve it, you get it, and then give up, relax. That would be very efficient way to practice. And I do also think, like just for my perspective, recording to what you play, what you practice will be so helpful and useful. Two reasons. First, if you are getting used to playing in front of camera, that give you the confidence. You will no longer or less nervous when you're really doing performance in front of many people. So that's kind of like the good benefit for that. Also, sometimes we think we did a good job, but sometimes actually it's not. So you recorded what you play, and then you can easily check, is that real I'm play like that good? And which part I did mistake, and then I can practice again. I think that's very, very, very useful for me. And the last part I want to mention, so if I know many advanced musicians, they ask themselves so hard and they hate make any small tiny mistakes. So there is a good way to avoid that is the 3 times perfect play for the song for whatever any goal you have a day. For example, so if today I want to just play 彩云追月, so I need to make sure that I can play 3 times perfectly, and then I can get relaxed. So 3 times actually is the logical way that like a human think if you are really get it, and even when you're nervous, you will not make any mistake. So that's I think it's very useful if you are using this way to practice. So that's just about my self advice and experience. Is there any questions? I didn't see anyone ask about Pipa. So if you don't have any question, we will move on. And again, if you really want to talk to us, we definitely love to hear what you wanted to see. We will do after workshop. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next teacher. Let's welcome to Erhu teacher, Fei Fei.
Hi everyone, it's my time. It's here, Fei Fei. Thank you, Chen. Thank you, Mr. Xu. They gave us lots of information. I think right now you have a basic understanding about the wind instrument Dizi and the plucked instrument Pipa. And later, after the string instrument Erhu, the Huqin family, we're going to have Guzheng player, awesome Guzheng player, and a Zhongruan player. To Zhongruan teacher to tell you everything about how to play them and the style and everything. So today I narrowed my this workshop, my part, into 3 different topics. First, I want to introduce the basic knowledge about Erhu and Erhu's family. We call it Huqin family. 所以今天的第一点呢，我会说一下关于二胡这个胡琴的家族的一些 一些简介，包括一些胡琴的构造啊，还有它们的声音曲线等等。So that's my first part. And second part, we will talk about a very interesting topic that I encountered a lot during my teaching career. Some students just have this question about how to make it more beautiful, right? How to play the Chinese instrument more beautiful, and also how to make it more Chinese. So there are certain way to do it. Of course, you have to practice, but there are certain ways, there's trick I can tell you. And then if you try after this workshop, you probably have a better understanding of how to make it more Chinese and make it more beautiful. And in the end, we'll just talk about the style, about how the composition got involved, and most interestingly, I think, is how the geography and how the culture and language involved in forming this Chinese, this Erhu music. Okay, so when you're seeing, I think most of you have seen this, right? Because Chen told me that Erhu is one of the hot instrument during this group. I was very happy. I was like, oh, I have lots of people. They can ask me any question they want. So this is the Erhu. Most of you have seen it, probably in a subway if you're a commuter, right? So this is the head of the Erhu, and this one, we have two toning system. One is for inner string. The thicker one is inner string. That is close to you, the string. The outer string is this one. You can adjust the string right here. This is the stick, and we have this little qianjin right here. So make sure you put your hands underneath the qianjin to make a sound. If you put it right here, nothing's gonna happen. You're not gonna change the intonation. And this is the neck, long neck, and this is the sound box. Here is the python skin, and this is the bridge, if you can see it. So most of you wonder, what is this? This is just like a material that you use to eliminate all this scratchy sound that naturally the instrument gonna bring to you. And this is the sound box. So how to distinguish Erhu that is good or bad? It depends on, of course, how much you spend on it, right? And also the material, the wood is really one of the most important part of it. What kind of wood? We use like rosewood and others. This one is called tan, is it zitan? So this is the best one I can find in this Erhu, the material. And also, if you look at here, the python skin, how big is the pattern is also affect how your Erhu gonna be sound. So the bigger, the better, because it's actually give you a better vibration. The vibrating better, and you will make a fuller sound. And of course, this is the bamboo, this bow, and it's a horse hair, just like violin, viola, and we do use rosin like every violinist does. So this is Erhu. And I have another instrument which is lower. The register is lower than Erhu, but you can't really tell the difference because they look exactly the same, right? Actually, this sound box is bigger than Erhu, so that is lower. If Erhu is a viola, then this one gonna be cello. So when you hear it, that's five notes lower than Erhu. And that is called Zhonghu. And sometimes we use like Erhu to replace the Zhonghu because they're the same in intonation wise, they're the same, like 5 notes lower than the Erhu. And also we have in this whole Huqin family, we have Banhu as well. This is Banhu. Why we call it Banhu is because here you see the Erhu and Zhonghu and the Erchen, Chinese violin, they all use the python skin, right? But this one is using a board. This is the board. And this part, this is not a wood. This is for sure, this is a wood. And this is coconut. And the sound is very different as well. very bright, right? Sounds very, very loud. Like much more louder than the Erhu and Zhonghu. So Erhu is mostly used for lots of occasions. We can use it for solo, we can use it for ensemble, and we use for orchestra. Zhonghu and Erquan, we have solo pieces as well, but not as many as Erhu does. And Banhu used to be just like a bangdi, remember? Mr. Xu introduced. This was one of the company instruments in the bangzi, like a bangzi style, bangzi opera. So we use the banhu as one of the accompaniment instruments in the bangzi style opera. So move to the next topic. How to play them beautiful. That is always a very interesting topic, and even the professionals, they're trying to solve this problem for years, right? But there are certain ways that you can do to make your performance sounds more authentic, sounds more Chinese. Like when you, for example, if I have this Erhu, let's say we have a song that like Game of Thrones. Right, it's very flat. Right? So if you know how to make more Chinese, actually, basically, you can use this thing to apply for any sounds, and you can make them sounds, all of them sounds more Chinese. So there's three things I want to mention. First is vibrato, of course. And we have the ornaments. The ornaments include, I want to mention, is the sliding notes. We have lots of sliding notes, like so in violin and viola, they don't use like a lot of sliding notes. Sometimes they use, but it only in one way. But in Erhu, you can use both ways. Slide up, slide back. Does that sound very Chinese to you? Yeah, so for example, if you use the sliding notes in the Game of Thrones, right? It sounds very Chinese to you, right? Okay, and then the vibrato. So vibrato, we have 4 different types, but mostly we use 2 of them. One, I call it rolling vibrato, and second is the pressing vibrato. So the pressing one is easier than the rolling vibrato, because pressing is how my students get started to use the vibrato. So you just press your finger right here, and you try your best to change the distance between your string and the stick. Like this, you press them and try to change the distance. So it really depends how much pressure you gave to the instrument. So it sounds like this. Right? That's easier for you to get started with the vibrato. This kind of vibrato is very, very passionate. So we use in some extreme songs that it requires lots of passion, like so it feels like somebody's crying, right? It's very, very passionate. Another one is rolling vibrato that we use it very, very often. So you press your finger, put your finger on the string. There's a point, right? So what you do is that you roll up and down around this spot, like this, up and down, up and down. So it sounds like this. But it sounds more lyrical, but less condensed, less tense. So that's why we use it for lots of sounds, like a. because the scale, the ornament, they're very, very important. So I want everybody to try to practice more so you get them and you can apply them in different songs. What else I want to mention? Oh, the trill. So the trill is just like lots of other instruments. If you play like violin or Dizi or some other instrument, it just normally is the note. We have a root note, and you have one note that is higher than it. The note that next to it, you make this trill, right? When you first started, you don't need to play that fast. Yeah, so you can play longer in some songs and shorter, like only one note. So these are the ornaments you can use in a lot of Chinese traditional songs, in the Chinese instrument. So if we, also I want to mention one very special trill is the three notes ornament, the trill. Instead of the note next to it, we skip one note. So that one is often happen in Mongolian style. So when you right, so you wonder how are we going to change Game of Thrones to a Chinese style? Here you go, by using vibrato, trill, and ornaments, sliding notes, and everything. So you can play. So basically, with all the ornament, the Chinese ornaments you use, the skill, the style, you can change anything to Chinese style. Isn't it amazing? Okay, that's an interesting topic I want to share. Another one is the style. So we heard that Chen, we heard Mr. Xu, they all mentioned the style. Yes, we have lots of style. Basically, we have a southern style like Jiangnan Sizhu. Jiangnan is like southern China, and they have a string and wind instrument. And we have northern style, which is very, hard and passionate, very has a power and very bright. So but you wonder how are we going to distinguish the two style? Actually, I think is based on the geography. So I made a little Chinese map for you. So you just can take a visualize how are we going to divide this map into south and north? What's your guess about which place we're going to divide this map from south to north? So there is one saying is that you divide everything from Huanghe, the Yellow River, Yangtze River. And that's one of the things we keep talking about, but actually is not the 100% accurate, because we divide from Qinling and Huaihe, so Qin Mountain and Huai River. So it's around here. It's around this area. So we have northeast and Mongolian, and then Shandong province, and for the north part, and we have Hangzhou and Nanjing, and then we have Shanghai, and then Hubei, like where Wuhan is, Chongqing as southern China. So that's one of the ways we divide. But of course, in Erhu music, we have so many different kind of music, like Xinjiang style, right? It's Uyghur, a Mongolian style. And we have like Henan style. So many different kind of style. So in general, we divide in north and south, but actually in the actual songs, it really depends on the area. So each province have their language, each province have their music style, and also their culture. So I would highly encourage you to know more about Chinese culture and even geography, even people's language, and then you would know more about Chinese music as well. Yeah, I think that's basically what I want to share with everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. about Erhu, Zhonghu, and Banhu. Yeah, I do play for all of them. I would love to share some of the knowledge with you as well. And the composition was the last thing I want to mention. Composition is that we have traditional traditional songs like the ones you just heard, like Mongolian and Xinjiang or whatever style it is. And we have relatively new contemporary songs because Erhu has been moved to conservatory, like people get trained. After Liu Tianhua, Mr. Liu moved this instrument to conservatory, so people get systematically trained. That's why lots of songs that compose like concertos and those for number one Erhu fantasy, whatever, those longer and Western composition skill influenced songs. So that's relatively new. And then right now we have a lot of different styles, like some new composers from conservatory, and they compose some contemporary and a lot of avant-garde. I've been trying so many of them. I'm really, really enjoying them. I'm not only use the Erhu, but I use other instruments as well, like Banhu and Zhonghu. Just try to get out of the box and to see what's there. So I've been trying jazz, popular music, rock and roll, and so many genres that you don't think that Erhu can play. Yes, we can. So I will highly encourage you first knowing more about Chinese culture and language and maybe geography and everything ethnic. We have 56 ethnic groups. That's very interesting. Each ethnic group has their iconic song and music as well, right? And then also try to do as much as you can to jump to different areas, to jump out of your box, out of the comfort zone. I'm sure that you will have tremendous joy by playing this instrument. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Fei Fei. All right, let's go next teacher. Wei Wei, our Guzheng teacher.
Hello, guys. Finally, it's my turn. Very glad you joined us today. I saw some of students here. So glad to see you. So first of all, I'm gonna do a simply introduce of my instrument. Okay, this instrument called Guzheng, and it has a long history. It's over 2,500 years. And Guzheng has had 21 strings and the same numbers bridges. You can see from my side. Guzheng is made of wood, and it sounds very like similar like a harp, but we have different gesture to play. But the sound is really similar. So Guzheng has very colorful expression. So it also could be very soft and also very powerful. So I'm gonna show you a small piece. It's very soft. It's a piece of from a high mountain and running water. So, did you see some running water from you? And imagine you sitting between the high mountain. You can hear the sounds echo and the beautiful scenery in front of you. So it's very peaceful scenery. And also Guzheng is very powerful. So it can describe very powerful scenery like the sound fighting storm. So I'm gonna show you a small piece. Can you feel the storm is close to you? So that's the part of the Guzheng's colorful expression. Next, I'm gonna talk about the different styles of Guzheng performance. Guzheng also divided two parts, northern and southern styles. So in the northern styles, there are two different styles too. So one is Shandong, Henan Zhengpai. Henan province is from an area of China. So the second one is Shandong province, Shandong Zhengpai, Shandong style. So what's the difference? I'm gonna play something, and then I gonna show to explain the different and the common part. So in Henan Zhengpai is from the northern part. So the personality, the people there are very directly and very strong. So the song from there is play very hard. So this song is called Small Hand. I'm gonna play a small piece. So this song is very typical from the Henan styles. So in the Henan songs, it's very special part. We use the scale. We often use the sum, the whole body, the sum. So when you play this, we use the second joint to use 2P. This scale is 2P. So the next piece is from the Shandong Zhengpai. 那么山东 styles has a different part from the sum we use. We use the top joint, the first joint to play the 2P. So that's the very different part. So next piece I'm gonna play a very typical Shandong style song. It's called 四段锦. So these two-piece songs is also from the northern styles from China, but the different is the scales, especially the sum scales. We use different joint to play the same scale. It's called 2P. So in Henan styles, we use the second joint. In Shandong styles, we use the first joint. So that's the difference. Then I'm gonna introduce some southern styles. There are three styles inside. One of them is Zhejiang Zhengpai. Zhejiang province. Zhejiang Zhengpai is from the southern of China, like 江南一带。江南一带的音乐都是非常婉转的啊。The songs from the southern part of China is sounds very soft. Because of the personality, the people there is very not that strong like the northern part of China. So that's typically different from the two parts of China. I'm gonna play a small piece from the Jiangnan style, 浙江正派. It's Jasmine Flower. That's Jasmine Flower is very iconic songs in China. So that's what it describes. It's like a very gentle lady, very soft personality. So the second style is the 潮州音乐. Chaozhou is a city of Guangdong province. So the Guangdong has so many different typical songs from there, and I pick up one very important song called 出水莲. Oh, 寒鸦戏水. 寒鸦戏水 is very typical 潮州音乐. So you can feel some different with my left hand. It's different price to make the sound very tremolo. So let's listen.
那个现在是真，没声音哎。哎，现在是真，你没进啊？进了吗
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
So in 潮州音乐, the 潮州 style, the very special skill is from the left hand tremolo. So we use to press to make the sound fa and t. So, but the fa and t is not the natural fa and c. In 潮州 style, we always make the fa and c between the natural fa and the sharp fa, and also t is made between the natural t and the flat c. So that's the special things we never seen from the Western music. So the next piece is also from the Guangdong province. It's called 出水莲. It's about the lotus. And this piece, we can hear some fa and C with the stress, very strong trill. So you can hear now. So the natural fa is here, but in the Chaozhou and the Kejia style, we often make the sounds between the natural fa and the sharp fa. So the sounds like. So the natural fa is, the sharp fa is. So between them and make a strong trill. So that's a point, different point, and a very special scale. So the same as T, C, we made the C between the natural C and the glide C. This natural, this glide C, but we made between them. And the fa. So if the sounds from this is also is very typical from the southern style of China. So that's the very typical, the main styles in China. There are 5 styles of Guzheng. So today I just make a very simple introduction. So I hope if you are interested in Guzheng learning, you can contact us. So thank you again to join us today. If any question, you can text and I will answer you later. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Wei Wei. All right, now let's welcome to our last teacher, which is Ruan teacher.
Hello, hey everyone. Hi, I'm Eugenie. So today I'm going to present this instrument called Ron to you. Some of you might have never heard of it, just because for a very long time, this instrument has been used more commonly as more of like a, orchestra instrument. However, in the past, I would say, 20, 30 years or so, it has like evolved a lot more as a solo instrument with more varieties in terms of like repertoire and sort of sizes and the variations of the ron. So now, you have just a lot more sort of styles that you can hear from this instrument. So first, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the history of this instrument. So actually similar to the other instrument, this one also has a very long history of over 2,000 years. However, when it was first invented, it's kind of like, viewed as like a alternative of the pipa, since like both are like lute-like instruments. One has a pear shape. This one, as you can see, has a round shape body. Later, moving into the Jin dynasty, there is a scholar whose name is Ran Xian, and he is like known for just playing this instrument so well. He just got the talent for this. He's also one of the 7 sages from the Bamboo Grove. As you probably have heard of them as a group, they are just like well-known scholars who are also good at like writing poems and playing music. So because he was so good at playing this instrument, and also to further differentiate this instrument from the pipa, it got a new name, which was named Ron. And over, like the past 2,000 years, it also has evolved a lot. So when it was first invented, the strings were made of silk instead of stainless steel today. Also, this sort of the tone that you often hear from this instrument back then, similar to a lot of the other instruments, were in pentatonic scale. Which means you pretty much skip the 4th and the 7th note of a typical scale. So instead of doing, you do, that's the pentatonic scale. But, over, again, the past, years, it has evolved into like a true, like 12 note scale, just to give it a lot more variety, and then to let you play more styles of music on this instrument. And speaking of the history, if you haven't heard of this instrument, you could actually have run into some of the, poems and sort of like articles about instrument. One of the famous lines that were written about this instrument were coming from this poet whose name is Bai Juyi. So he once wrote about this instrument saying, 古调无人识，初闻满座经. So what that means is, this instrument could play a very ancient style that is something you probably had never heard of before. However, upon first encounter, it's going to bring you full of surprises. So that's like what the famous line was about. And today, I would like to talk a little bit about the structure and the composition of the instrument, as well as some kind of like popular techniques with some, like different styles of music from both the traditional side and the contemporary side. So let's start. As you can see, this instrument, similar to the Erhu and Pipa and everything else you have seen, has a, head, has like a straight neck with a round body. And here is the bridge and also the tailpiece that you kind of like can use, to tighten up the strings to make the sound. And the tuning of this instrument is GD. This instrument, similar to the Huqin family, also has a few different varieties. So there is the Gaoruan, Gaoyinruan, which is the soprano version of this instrument. There is the Xiaoruan, small ruan, which is the alto version. This is the Zhongruan, the medium-sized one. It's tenor. And there is also a bass version and a contrabass version of this instrument that has like different scales and different pitches. However, when you put them together, right, it kind of creates a lot more dynamics when it comes to ranges, but also when it comes to sound. Cool. So yeah, moving on to the techniques of this instrument. So when you play the instrument, you will kind of like hold on to a pick. That is, if you can see this, it's very, very similar to the pick of a guitar. If you play the guitar. However, the shape is slightly different. As you can see, this is much more, similar to like a true triangle versus, for the guitar, you have like more of like a, more vertical kind of shaped triangle. And in addition to that, the pick is a lot more harder than that of a guitar because the strings of this instrument are also much like, stronger and harder than that of the guitar. So you need a bit more kind of like, tension in order to create like a very powerful sound. So I'm going to demo the typical picking of the strings, and then we will go into, the different sort of like variations you can do even with the picking. Cool. So to play the instrument, you simply just do the picking by moving your hand upward and downward, like this, with your wrist. So it's like. And with your left hand, you will start pressing the string while you play your right hand. So it requires a bit more coordination. Cool. So, you know, like you can also try to strum the strings to make like more powerful sound like this. And by doing your picking faster, you can create a sort of like a technique called tremolo for the run that is similar to like the tremolo for guitar. But instead of using your fingers, you will use the pick, which is like this. Cool. So next, I'm gonna quickly play a abstract from this piece called Camel Bell on the Silk Road, which will incorporate some of the techniques we just talked about. And this piece, just for your interest, was also used as a soundtrack, or the abstract was also used as part of a soundtrack for this movie directed by An Lee called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which some of you might have watched before. So if you ever pay attention to the background music when they are kind of like passing through the desert, this sort of piece or part of this piece was brought in as the background music. So I'm just going to demo this real quick. Cool. So as you may have noticed, right, the sort of the part I played has incorporated the picking, the tremolo, and also some of the left hand techniques. So speaking of left hand techniques, actually a lot of the techniques are similar to what Fei has already talked about for the Erhu. But for this instrument, as you may have noticed, a lot of techniques are similar to what you may have found, like from the for the guitar, since both have like like a similar setup, and with the only difference being the shape of the body and the number of strings you have. So for the left hand, in terms of techniques, there are some of the techniques you can play by creating like slurs, similar to the slurs that you can see for the guitar. And there is the sliding version. There is the kind of hammer-on one, and there is the pulling. And if you kind of like combine them together, you can do this. Cool. Yeah, and then also for the left hand, you can also sort of create harmonics. And then there are like natural and artificial harmonics. I'm going to demonstrate the natural harmonics that are created by just putting your hand at the certain on the certain frets of the instrument. Cool. And I'm gonna keep playing sort of a piece from the same song, Camel Bell on the Silk Road, however with more kind of like of the left hand techniques demonstrated. So let's go. And then lastly, I guess just want to bring up on like a different kind of style for the same instrument real quick. For the Ron, in the recent, I would say, about like 15, 20 years or so, the contemporary / modern style has become very popular with thanks to this composer whose name is Liu Xin. So he has composed a lot of the pieces specifically for the Ron, incorporating a variety of the techniques that we just talked about, however, put them into a very different style. So I know we're almost running out of time, so I'm going to play just a very short piece here. Cool. All right, so that is everything I've got to share about Iran with you all. And I'm going to pass it back to Chen.
Awesome. That's so good. Thank you. So that's all of 5 teachers for today. So before we're going to end, I want to ask, is there any people who has some question? I saw one question by the Dizi. So maybe Mr. Xu, you can answer the question for us.
请问什么问题？
徐老师是关于笛子初学如何练习气震音。So the question was about, as a beginner, how you can practice vibrato on the 笛子。
笛子的气震音有2个方法，一个是用喉头控制的，一个方法是用腹部控制的。
So there's 2 ways you can practice this. One is using your throat, one is using your diaphragm.
.那个吹气震音要注意2个问题，一个问题就是频率不能太慢，幅度不能太大。比如说，这样的气震音会很难听。
So, yeah, go ahead. 继续说，徐老师。
你先发吗？
就是频率不能太慢，速度不能。
那幅度不能太大。
The range
不能太慢。
The range, you can't be really, really big, too big, and the speed, you can't be too slow.
我搞不懂了，警察呢？警察怎么都不出来了？
好，徐老师继续。
其实并不是所有的地方都要用那个气震音的，根据具体情况来加的，而且加的话呢，要加的吹的就是频率稍微快一点，幅度要小一点。不能，那个就不太好听。
Yeah, so the frequency has to be really, really tense, and also it has to be very fast.
我是用喉头控制的。
So Mr. Xu is using the throat to control this vibrato. Yes. Throat. Yes.
还有问题吗？
Any other questions?
笛子就没有问题了，但菲菲好像是有一个问题是，就是关于二胡的。
好。是什么问题？我看一下。
So there's a question. It's similar. It's also about vibrato. The question is, other than the pressing and the rolling vibrato, what other vibrato types does Erhu have?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Very good question. So we mentioned 2 of them. Oh, I can't see myself. Okay, great. So we mentioned 2, right? One is rolling, and one is pressing. And the other one we use very often is a kind of the combination. So when you roll it, actually you're changing your finger. So you're not only staying in this spot, you're switching your spot up and down. So instead of staying in one spot, I roll, right? This is rolling and this is pressing. And now you're going to up and down. So it depends on what kind of sounds you play. So it's kind of stronger than the rolling one and less tense than the pressing one. This is a very, very good question. Thank you for your question. Any other concern or questions you have, you want to know? Just leave me a comment right there and we will answer all your questions. Very good question.
Thank you, Feifei. Chen, I think it's about time to close this workshop.
I would like invite our director of Chinese Music Ensemble to summarize our first workshop, Mr. Sun. 孙老师
Okay, yes. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Thank you very much to participate in our first online workshop. You are all music lovers and you love Chinese music and the Chinese musical instrument. One of our mission is promote Chinese music in United States. I think we will continue to do that on online workshop, especially during this really right now, this very difficult time for us, for everyone. Thanks all the participant audience and involved our first workshop, and also thanks very much for our very talented young musician and also senior musician like Mr. Xu. Thank you very much. I will do this online workshop again and again. We will keep our mission for forever. Thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, thank you again for joining us the first workshop, and we will send survey after the workshop, and we will send you by each email. And thank you for the support from the New York State Council on the Arts with support of Governor Andrew Cuomo and the New York State Legislature, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and our other many friends. Thank you. And if you are interested in any instruments or you want to learn or you have any feedback, please email us and contact us. Thank you and have a great evening. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.